I don't know. I don't want to give it away. Like,
No, sure.
in case it doesn't work out, maybe I'll do nothing. Expect nothing. And
heard
then
it here
if
first,
I do
kids.
something, you'll be really, really grateful.
Hey guys, James Wilson Taylor here for Roxanne. We are backstage today, Evanescence and Within Temptation on their tour at long last. I'm delighted to say that Amy Lee joins me now. How are you, Amy?
I'm great. Thanks for coming to see me.
No, lovely to see you, lovely to see you. Welcome back to the UK. Let's start with that because,
So good.
as we were just saying, it's kind of been a minute, right? It's got to feel really, really nice to finally be
has.
back out in front of these crowds.
It has. It feels so good to be back. It's been a minute for everywhere.
Yeah.
But this is November now, so we've officially been back on tour for a full year, and it feels really good. This is sort of like the peak version of this show that we've been putting on, and this is like our grand finale, so we're very, very happy to be here.
Yeah, how was it actually, those first steps? I've heard from a lot of bands, you know, some people just like hit the ground running again. It's like it'd never been away. Some people maybe took a minute. How was it for you guys actually getting that Evanescence show back together?
As soon as we felt like we could try a way that would be safe and smart and good for everybody, we went for it. And we only got set back one time. We had to postpone a few shows in the middle of the winter of last year. There was a big surge going on.
Yeah.
But we hit it right back again. We were fortunate to be able to like make up those 4 shows like a month later, and everybody came. People didn't return their tickets. I am just blown away by the crowds that we've had here so far. I feel like in all of our hearts, between the bands and the fans, like everybody just wants it so much and has been dreaming of it and waiting for it so much that the passion is just there. So it feels really good.
I mean, I was chatting to Sharon earlier as well. It does feel like this is another one of those tours where if you're a fan of one of those bands, chances are you're a fan of both. Like, it's kind of a really nice bill. It feels like those fans kind of really mix well together, right?
Cool. They do, and this is definitely a first for us. I first saw Within Temptation live only a few years ago, right before the pandemic, when we decided, you know what, we should do this. People have been talking about us doing something together for years, and now I get it. So I'm glad it's finally happening.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. No, it's a really, really nice mix there. Well, it's been a little minute since the album now. I think the last time we caught up, it was just kind of around Wasted on You and stuff, and, you know, the album hadn't come out yet. Went down really, really great with the audience, really, really nice. I guess now that it's in the rear view for a minute, how are you reflecting on that time and that release and what you kind of learned from making that record, I guess?
It's hard to sum all that up. So much has happened actually already. But we're just in a really good place of, I feel really grateful. And I feel like we all really are still acutely aware of what it would feel like to not know if we'll ever get to do it again. We've all been through a lot in this time, not just about the pandemic. We've lost people in our lives. So just that feeling of being here now, you know, like 20 years after the first time, and seeing people who, some of them we even recognize. And I think about what the songs mean and what the fans mean in my life, and I know that the music is like, some of it's like a soundtrack a little bit to some of the big moments in other people's lives. I just feel all connected. It just feels like a very beautiful full circle moment where I'm able to live in the moment more than ever, and we're all just doing a lot of high-fiving backstage.
Nothing wrong with that, as you well should be, being back here after this long. That's real. Has anything kind of surprised you actually finally getting these songs at long last actually in front of the people, in front of the live stage? Yeah.
Well, we wanted it so bad that we really put a lot into the production. We had a lot of time to plot it out, and this is over the last year. This is the first time we've ever like planned the order and the real choices of the set list months in advance before the tour, and really thought into the content and the programming and the lighting, and put it all down and had it in the works like that to details for months before. Usually we have like awesome lights, but it's a little more like on the fly, and this time is very much like we really have like thought it through, we had the time to do it. And now it's just like, you know, how do we, you know, keep changing it up, but not too much, because we haven't done the show here yet, and we want to give them our A show. You know, we want to give them all the songs. We have 75 minutes a night, and it's never enough. There's always like 3 extra songs that we have in the bank, so we're some nights swapping out one for another.
Oh, that's nice.
A little bit, but not too much, because like, I don't know when we'll be back again. Like, we have to play you our favorites and your favorites too. So yeah.
Yeah,
it's nice to have too many.
Hey, it's champagne problems. That's what we call those. Absolutely. A moment on that record that I do want to bring up. I've chatted to the likes of Taylor Momsen and Lizzie Hale and everything about that brilliant Use My Voice kind of moment that you had there. I'd love to just kind of pick your brain a little bit about. I mean, it went over so well. That message was expressed so clearly, which is always so nice when it actually you're trying to express something like that and the audience fully kind of gets it and understands, which is what it seemed like it really, really cut through very, very well. Just tell me a little bit about, I guess, putting that track together and actually putting those guests together as well. It's a really, really nice lineup on it.
Well, something that's really cool that I don't know if a lot of people know is that I actually enlisted the help of my friend Dina, who is opening for us tonight and on the first half of this tour from Viridia, one of my favorite artists and one of my closest friends. So I don't know. It's about helping each other and sisterhood, and it's not just about women, but that is such a moment right now where we truly need each other and need to stand together against so many evil, oppressive forces all over the world. But in that moment, it was just a simple, like, I was stuck on a song and had my friend over and we were listening to stuff together. And I was like, yeah, I really like this chorus progression, but I don't know if the song's ever going to become a song. I can't figure out what to do. I think I might just change it. You know, we're stuck. And she was like, wait, I've got a great idea. And she started doing the, whether you na na ma na ba na. And I just wouldn't have thought to go that way with a melody. And it just cracked my head open, and the collaboration and the spirit of the collaboration just pushed the meaning and the message of that. I get by with a little help from my friends, but also just like people standing together and that we are more together than alone, into just a new stratosphere for me. And it feels really great to have her on tour. I hope we get another chance or two to do it, all the girls on stage for a minute during that part. We only got to do it once, and then everybody kind of had a cold and was like being careful. So I'm feeling like we're better. I'm hoping we get to do it again soon.
Yeah, fingers crossed. No, what a lovely, lovely moment that is. Well, I mean, looking ahead to kind of things that are coming up, there's so much I want to talk about because you guys are keeping busy, which is great to see. Just announced that Sick New World Festival. Now, I was lucky enough to be at this When We Were Young thing recently, and I got to tell you, it was such a lovely moment as someone who's a big fan of that scene to see all these bands playing in front of like tens of thousands of people, biggest crowds I've ever played to sometimes. It really was, though. It was like a big celebration of that moment. And similarly, with that kind of era and that kind of genre, it's going to do exactly the same thing there. I mean, it's got to be exciting to kind of reflect a little bit on those moments again.
The festival moments where everybody gets to come together and see each other again after a lot of us haven't seen each other in a couple of years have been so fun.
Yeah, I'll bet.
We did a couple of somewhat similar festivals recently, and actually got to play our first show with 9 Inch Nails.
Oh, wow.
And there was a bunch of bands there. Tenacious D was there as well. I got to get up on stage with Tenacious D, and honestly, that was like a highlight of my year.
That's so good.
But I think really one of the most beautiful parts of that is getting to be together, and after everybody, that's what's cool about 9 Inch Nails finishing. The rest of us, so many of us, we're all fans of that. And everybody just slowly migrated after their set to front of house, and just everyone is at this big, huge front of house all together watching 9 Inch Nails and just being inspired and remembering what got you inspired into music. And that is cool too, because I know what it feels like. We know what it feels like to be in the crowd and what it means. So I don't know, it's all good.
Yeah, it's nice when you get those moments like that. And obviously you were out on tour with Korn as well, who were on that lineup, which is so cool. I remember when last time we chatted with those guys at a festival last year, like Brian was just singing your praises, saying like that's a voice I just always love hearing. Yeah, I mean, it feels like it's a really, really nice kind of kinship and friendship over the years with those guys, right?
Well, we've known each other for a good while now, really, and seen each other go through a lot of different things. So it's, again, like cool to be in a really good place now and be here years later and have it not be like, it's not like, I've been doing this forever, I'm so tired, all I want to do is go home. Like, we're all like, oh my God, we get to do this still. Sure. And oh my God, the crowd is huge. And everybody's just good. We had a really, really good tour with them. That was a beautiful thing. And Brian's a sweetheart.
Yeah, no, really, really nice to see all those bands together again. And also, that kind of new generation, something that we didn't get to chat about last time, but, it seems a little while ago now, but still fresh in my mind. Collaborate with Bring Me the Horizon, who, of course, always cite the likes of yourselves and really all the bands of that era as kind of being major, major inspirations. Tell me a little bit about working on that track and getting to
that was a really cool moment that came out of having to work remotely. And we were fans of theirs. Actually, my drummer's the one who turned me on to them in the first place a couple years ago. And they just reached out, and it was totally a bad moment. I was busy and I was working on my own stuff, and I was like, I don't have time to do anything right now, but I'll check it out. And then I listened to the song they had going, and I was just like, I have to drop everything this week and just do this. Damn it. So I just kind of like skipped out on what I was doing and focused on that beautiful, beautiful song. And it was this fun project where, you know, the time difference, like I'd work on it and get into my zone at night and have an idea and demo out my part and do whatever I was going to do, and then send it to Ollie. And then I'd wake up in the morning and I'd have his response and his going back on his side of it. And we just went back and forth like that for a week until this cool thing was born. It all happened really fast. And it really actually helped me get unstuck in what I was stuck in, because I'd been stuck at the very end of like our record, and it was missing a ballad. And I, you know, when you just need to be uncorked, like sometimes like I need to go over here and like paint something or cook something or write a different song with a collaboration, just something to uncork you. Like it's hard to explain, but it just like made my heart pour out. And then Far From Heaven finished itself, and I was like, we do have a ballad for the record.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes concentrating on something else for a second,
Yeah,
that different
just
creative
let it
lane.
go. Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. No, what a great collaboration that was. We talk a little bit about looking back and that kind of era and everything. I'm sure it's not escaped your attention, but next year we're hitting a rather important album anniversary for yourselves.
Yes.
I mean, 20 years of Fallen, that is kind of crazy. Something I always like to ask people when we hit these album anniversaries is not so much what's changed, because that's kind of apparent. We see how these bands develop. Right. We see how you guys have grown and changed over the years. But is there anything that stayed the same for you? Anything you learned about that working process that actually does remain through all these years?
I learned a lot of things at that time. It was my first experience, like in anything, in the industry and in on the stage. The picture was taken on my 21st birthday. It was a lot all at once. It's hard to say what stayed the same. So much has changed. My heart, it's there. Like, I think that dream and there's this intangible thing within the music that's always been like, you can see this place. There's this very special, specific place that is like the world of Evanescence to me. And I feel like I was dreaming of it then as a kid. And now it's like, yeah, it wasn't just imaginary. And now there's all these other people, you know, that can see that world together. It's a beautiful thing. Man,
that really, really is a beautiful thing. Have you considered or thought about marking that anniversary in any way, shape, or form?
I feel like we have to, or I'll just get total shit on the internet.
People will demand.
It's never enough.
Yes.
I do have an idea. It's going to take a little bit of work, but I think it probably won't be what everybody expects. I think everybody just is like, oh, why don't you do a show that's like, you know, just do an album, you know, front to back. We've been playing so many shows. I would rather do something that to me, like, I don't know. I don't want to give it away. Like, in case it doesn't work out, maybe I'll do nothing. Expect nothing. And then if I do something, you'll be really, really grateful.
That's a good level of expectation to have.
None.
That's how we'll go into it for sure. Well, I mean, even on that era, it's just funny how it keeps finding new. I mean, Bring Me to Life hitting number 1 on iTunes earlier this summer. Seemingly out of nowhere. It's just funny how these songs and everything just keep finding new life again.
Yeah.
No pun intended. But you know what I mean? Like, they keep finding you and your audiences going through. It's got to be so satisfying to see these younger kids finding it. It is satisfying.
And it's cool now because I remember a lot of the feeling in the beginning. It was so much about like, what's next, and are we going to make it, and are we going to be able to survive, and are people going to listen to our next song, and what about the next record, and like just getting to the next place always. That what I was talking about before about having that living in the moment thing now. There is an element to a song like Bring Me to Life that didn't exist before, which is this nostalgia. Like the song has grown live. It's something that we've added to, and part of how it's grown is with its history and with what it means to everybody in the room. It's not something new. It's just something that you already have known for so long that it has a place in your heart. So it's just able to be more than it would have been then. So I, in a lot of ways, love it more than I did.
Man, that's so lovely to be able to have something like that all these years later and still growing and changing and developing like that. It's really, really cool. Looking forward then, let's do the new music question, shall we? How much are you thinking about? Has work begun on what might come next?
That work hasn't begun.
Okay.
Thoughts have begun. Inspiration has begun. We have a beautiful new like energy right now. Everybody's really happy. I feel like we worked hard through a hard time, and it's just been such a reward to be out like this. And we have Emma on bass. She's just been with us this year, and it has just been a really beautiful, fulfilling situation. We feel really strong on stage, so we're at that point. But the problem is, when you do well, you get more work, so we just keep booking shows, and it's at that point where I'm like, I need to start saying no, and I really don't want to, because the offers are really cool, but like we have to find some time to next year start slowing it down just a little bit so we can focus on being creative for the next thing, because I am ready for that.
Interesting. Well, I mean, before you do slow it down, obviously the next time we're going to see you in the UK, Download Festival next year. Outrageous lineup for the 20th anniversary. And we forget, of course, you were there that first year, back in 2003. Do you have any memories of that? What was that one like?
Yes. We opened for Iron Maiden, which was intimidating for me. I hadn't been out that long. I was just a young little girl, and there was very few women around back then on the stage. I think Nightwish was there, but that might have been it.
Interesting.
No, not Nightwish. I'm thinking of Dream Theater. So yeah, I felt alone. I remember just being like, those fans are going to eat me alive. This is going to be bad. Some other band had just gotten like piss bottled off the stage the night before for not being heavy enough. And I took a couple shots and went up there, and we actually had a really great show and a good response. And I remember bringing the piano out and everything and being like, this is the part where they're going to kill me. This is the part where they're going to hurt me. But it was like I was so ready for that. Instead of being afraid, I just started getting mad. Like, not really, but just going, go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead and do it. And the attitude was just kind of like received, like, no, we like it. We so like your weird, funky energy. So we had a great time, actually. I remember that show just being such a huge, huge, huge crowd, and it feeling like a personal, like, definite, like, confidence booster for the future of like, okay, I can do this. I belong here. We got it. You just really, I feel like confidence is such a huge part of the battle. Yeah. If you just believe that you belong where you are, then they're more likely to believe it too, and you'll be okay.
I mean, again, it's how that audience has developed and changed, and how, even with like festival audiences, how it's all grown and changed over the years, because, like I feel like yours was the name I was seeing around of people most excited to see.
That's so cool.
It's nice, isn't it? But it's just nice,
well,
isn't it?
It's good to be different. I've always seen that as a strength. Like, you need to be able to stand out. Other you don't want to blend in, for what we do. So I think that's true. I think be yourself, be your unique you, and let that shine and push that forward. Don't try to hide it.
Man, so excited for that show next year. So excited for the show tonight. Congrats on everything.
Thanks.
Look forward to catching up with you next summer. And just enjoy the rest of this tour, right?
You
Good
too.
to see you.
Have fun tonight.
Amy Lee, everybody.